Hello everybody, welcome back to the Rook View. Today's discussion is going to be over the most irrelevant aspect of any MK, or really any racer ever, because let's be real here, characters don't affect gameplay much at all in these games. The only distinguishing thing that they have is their character stats, which are pretty minimal in difference compared to characters in fighting games, or even the classes for RPGs or weapon types for shooters, but it doesn't really matter. Like, they don't change gameplay at all. Characters really do, in these kart racing games specifically. So weight class is really the only aspect of these characters that really matter, like in reality. But since people like complaining about characters who are and who are not deserving of being in a Mario Kart game, I'm going to give you my take on what I think the ideal roster should be, purely from a standpoint of who should be representing the Mario franchise in these games, and honestly, who deserves to be in. So to start off, there's obviously a few inclusions. This includes, your player 1 and your player 2, the damsel in distress, and obviously you also kind of need to have, where is he? Oh, he's up there. Your antagonist, Bowser, of course. So these are quite literally the only givens, in my opinion, though. Because, for any basic Mario title, these are the only characters that I think you absolutely these are the only necessary inclusions. And, even Luigi here, even he's a little shaky because, they've done 3D entries without him before. But, he's player 2, he's iconic, obviously you're going to have him anyway. So, these are the 4 that we're going to start with, I guess. So, here's a few disclaimers. Everybody hates the clones, so we're straight up doing no babies to start off with, or any other clones really. No roster slots will be taken up by clones to begin with. I've done the math already, and I came up with a list of about 30 total characters that I think is fair. So the goal of this list is to balance out the 5 weight classes I've come up with on the screen right now, as you can see: feather, light, medium, cruiser, and heavy. And additionally, we only want to accomplish this by using what we would consider deserving characters. So at the end, the goal is to put in 6 characters to each tier here, and then we can talk about some customization stuff at the end. Another important thing is that MK represents the main series, so I'm clearly a fan of the RPG spinoffs and stuff, and even some other spinoffs. But representatives from M&L and Paper Mario, or even the humans in Mario Golf or whatever, they're off the table. So this is largely because I think they'd just be awkward fits, and just also due to the nature of those games and stuff. A lot of the paper characters can't even make sounds to begin with, so how are we gonna do their sound effects and stuff? They look off and stuff, so they are going to be excluded. And anyways, we'll be focusing on also bringing in characters who represent each main series Mario title, as well as a few games that are on the cusp of being the main series, just right there, but maybe they're kind of spin-offy, I guess. But anyway, the ultimate goal is to bring characters in from everyone's favorite game here in an attempt to make everyone as happy as possible. And by everybody's favorite game, I mean their favorite game in the main series, of course. So yeah, obviously you want to keep a balanced roster as mentioned. So here we go. Ultimately, we want the game to reward each weight class also, but this isn't really going to be a part of the discussion because this isn't really controlling that. This is just choosing a roster itself. So we're not going to focus on balancing and stuff, just the characters themselves. So, of course, there's some characters here who are just series staples. I would argue that the roster from 64 and Super Circuit are the most iconic 8. So let's add the remaining pieces from there. So first of all, we're going to have to enter in Toad, and I'm going to put him in the feather. Who else? We got Donkey Kong. We're going to put Donkey Kong in Cruiser, actually, because he's been in that class more recently. So, additionally, we're going to have Yoshi. Where's Yoshi? There he is. We're going to put him in the medium weight, actually, because maybe it may not make sense now, but I calculated it all out, and that's just how it's going to work out. So it'll work out nicely that way. And of course, we can have Wario also. He's a heavyweight. First of all, I don't even know Wario and DK are switched off, but apparently Wario is so fat that he's bigger than an ape. So Wario is heavy. So I guess some comments, even though DK has his own main series and stuff, and generally we stay away from his series for these games, obviously you gotta have him because Mario came from the original Donkey Kong game. It's only fair. So to start, let's get some more returning characters that I think should obviously be in, and talk about what games they rep for the most part to see where we're at. So, of course, the original game, Super Mario Brothers, had plenty of people we need to account for. We added Toad already, and next logical step is like, well, he's like pretty much the only supporting character. So, what about like the main, I guess, enemy type? Which would be the Koopa Troopa, and yeah, we can add Koopa because like I think it's pretty clear. Like he was an SMK also. Like we should probably put him in. While we're talking about Super Mario Brothers, we should also mention Lakitu. He's kind of been a character that's been everywhere and stuff. He kind of doubles up as like a representative from Super Mario 64. He's the cameraman, and even as a big representative of MK itself, because he does like the countdowns and stuff. So he's a pretty big character overall. I think he definitely deserves to be in the game. So next up, we go to Super Mario Brothers 2. Not the Lost Levels, because that was pretty much all the same enemies as from the original, but the US release of Doki Panic or whatever brought us 2 reoccurring characters and enemies. And this is going to be Shy Guy, one of the enemies that has been very common throughout the series. And of course, Birdo, who was not in MK8D, weirdly. So I think we're going to put Birdo back in, because I think Birdo is more than a deserving character, as I've mentioned before. So I think that these 2 definitely deserve a spot on the roster as well. So now I find that Super Mario Bros. 3 is a little bit of a tougher topic, so I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, I guess. So, the next major game after that is Mario World, and, we already got our obvious rep in, like, Yoshi right here. So yeah, like that, like Yoshi's kind of like the guy from that game. So anyway, around the time that World came out, also we had the Mario Land series starting off. And while the second game gave us a series rep in Wario, there's also another one from the first game in Daisy, who became a recurring character in the sports games later. So we'll add her as pretty much a series staple right now. Put her in the same class as Peach. I guess put her next because, I don't know, Echo Fighter looks right, I suppose. So that puts our count up to 13 right now. So I'll make sure to come back to all the later entries in the series, but I think we've gotten most of the obvious characters right now. So let's knock out the other, I guess, remaining big ones. So, the big Mario Galaxy rep is obviously going to be Rosalina, who pretty much became a series staple ever since she got shoehorned into Super Mario 3D World. And obviously at this point, I think you kind of got to include her, so we're going to put her in, and because they usually make her like heavier or whatever, we're going to put her in the cruiser class. I think that makes pretty decent sense, and obviously at this point, you also need to have Bowser Jr., and I couldn't believe he wasn't in 7 or 8U, because, he's like one of the bigger antagonists in the series. So we are going to put Jr., if I can find him. Maybe this wasn't the best method of putting characters in, but, I think he can be kind of heavy and stuff. He's kind of heavy in Smash. We're going to put him in Cruiser as well. So now we're up to 15. And I think at this point, he's a series staple. And his introduction game was Sunshine and was like a big role in that game, part of the plot twist. So, he's had a big role in a lot of the 2D platformer games like the original new Super Mario Bros. So yeah, we're adding Junior. And now we come to Waluigi and Toadette, who, they actually don't really make any big series roles or anything. They aren't really anything, especially Waluigi. As a character that was quite literally built for spin-off Mario titles, I feel like we've just got to include him at this point. Like, it's just kind of a fact of life that, like, Waluigi belongs in these kind of games, whether you like it or not. So we'll put Waluigi in Cruiser, and this is kind of why I want to put Wario in Heavy, because obviously you got to have him above him, I suppose. So yeah, there's that. And I think it's not like he was a clone. Like, it's not like he was a clone character made for these games or like whatever. So like, well, I don't know. I guess I suppose he was kind of a clone character, but like, he's not specifically a clone. Like, he has a place, I guess, that's like pretty obvious, I would say. So I think it's fair enough, and he's pretty popular anyway, seeing it's like the Smash stuff. And anyway, back to Toadette. Toadette's actually gotten more into the main series recently, more than ever before, with her role in the Odyssey post game, and I suppose New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. But we're not going to talk much more about that game, because I don't want to give people any other character ideas from that game or any of the memes surrounding it. So we are going to put Toadette in the Feather class. I'll put her next to Toad, and that brings the total to 17, with 13 other spots for perhaps not as obvious characters. So I think it's about time that we need to start discussing some newcomers. So I think we kind of have to look at Odyssey because, you know, it's the most recent game. That's like before, like Deluxe came out before it, so like we got to adapt to how Odyssey's been. You know, given how popular and strong of an entry it is, I think we've got to take a few characters from it. So, you know, the clear choice here for the Fetter class is going to be Cappy, and I think this is pretty much indisputable right now. Like, he played a major role in, like, one of the biggest games in the series. He's like a Luma that lets you spin from Galaxy, but he actually had a bigger role and, like, actually talked and was, like, a bigger deal. I think it'd be pretty kind of lame to, you know, not include him after how big of a role he had in the last game. So, you know, additionally, another character who's made a big re-emergence recently from Odyssey. It's actually Pauline. We're going to put Pauline at medium. She was in the original Donkey Kong also, so like I think you kind of got to put Pauline in. You get to include her as a rep as Donkey Kong, even Mario Odyssey, but you know, the fact that she's back in the main series only makes more sense. You should put her in an MK game already. And you probably could have made a case for her even a while ago in Honesty. And you know, she makes more MK. She makes more sense for MK than, like, at this point, than any other character from the DK series because, you know, she's like the original damsel in distress and stuff. So anyway, despite being a spin-off, I associate Luigi's Mansion more with the main series than most of the other spin-offs, I guess, because, I don't know, it's like the launch title for the GameCube and stuff. Like, they actually advertise it as like a normal kind of big game, except it featured Luigi. So, you know, this is probably because we've seen King Boo and MK before, like, it kind of seems obvious, but, you know, he's kind of the big Luigi's Mansion rep. We're going to put him in actual heavy and stuff this time because, I don't know, I feel like he perhaps belongs in heavy. I guess you could make the case that you could switch him with DK. You know what, let's actually do that because, like, DK makes sense in heavy. We'll put King Boo in Cruiser, actually. So, I think that's a reasonable swap, so we can have King Boo. But, you know, I also want to add another representative for Luigi's Mansion. I think that this guy should have been in a while ago. We're actually going to do the only other good character in the game. We are going to add Professor Elvin Gadd from the Luigi's Mansion series. I think he'd be a pretty cool addition here. He's made a lot of cameos in the main series and even some other spin-offs. He's like a major character in Luigi's Mansion. Lots of inventions are in other games, like the Poltergust Kart was in MKDS, and, you know, Flood was in Sunshine. He made both of those. He had a stage in MP6 that was based after him. I think he'd be a great newcomer that not many are expecting, who has history within the series and definitely could have an argument to be in it. So, you know, anyway, if you have King Boo in an MK game, I think you need to have Petey Piranha also. You know, like, both made, I guess, a pretty big appearance, and they're in respective GameCube games early on and stuff. Kind of like you associate them together because of Double Dash and stuff. You know, Petey Piranha is like, I don't know, he's the first boss in Sunshine. He's pretty iconic. I think you gotta have him in, and I think he can definitely be put in heavy and stuff. You know, he's another Sunshine rep, and, you know, we had 2 villains from Sunshine actually, and there's not really a good guy from Sunshine we have yet, but, you know, this is another newcomer I think we need to have. I think we need to put Toadsworth in MK already. Yeah, I said Toadsworth. Toadsworth is pretty epic, you know. It's like he does a lot of roles and stuff. He's like the main host and stuff in MP7. It's been in a lot of the main series, mainly the original New Super Mario Bros. Some other stuff, maybe some spin-off games. So, you know, I know he's another Toad, but, like, distinct personality here. I think like look, these two, like Toad and Toadette, they're just like chill. He's old and stuff. Like he's different enough, I think. So anyway, we're getting close here, but as you see, to fill this out fairly, I think we need 6 in each major weight class, so we're going to have to kind of focus on that. The featherweight's done right now, obviously. So, got to think about some other characters we can fill out right now. And what's probably the most alarming game that has like a major absence of a character so far, I guess, would be SM64, unless you want to count Lakitu. But, you know, like Lakitu didn't really originate there, and you don't really see him throughout the game. And, you know, SM64 is arguably the most important game in the franchise, and there aren't many new characters from this game, actually, which makes it kind of difficult. And I believe this game is why Metal Mario even, like, made it to MK to begin with, because, you know, like, people remember Metal Mario from SM64, but, you know, as someone who's trying to make this a cloneless roster, I feel like the need to look elsewhere, I suppose. And, you know, after taking King Boo and P, I feel the obvious option would be perhaps a surprise. And you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm going to put King Babam on the roster. And maybe you, or thinking, oh, this is ridiculous. But like, hear me out. Like, he's also the leader of one of the major species in the games. You got like your boos, your piranha plants, you got your bob-ombs. Like, go on, you can make a case for him. And like Petey, he is the first boss in SM64. The first shine, I think, is locked. Like, it's pretty much impossible to play that game and and be like slightly competent and not like get to experience him and remember him from that game. Because, you know, I think beating him is like the only required star in like the entire game of SM64. So everyone who picked up SM64, even those who are mostly trash at it, probably have a memory with this guy. He's been floating around in the background of a lot of games. I think it'd be cool to get him in a bigger spot for once. So there is one game left I feel like we need to touch up on for sure, as it's like another classic game. This would be Yoshi's Island, I think. So I think I think that for like Yoshi's Island, like obviously you can say, okay, Yoshi, duh, you know, like you should put Yoshi in if you like want to do Yoshi's Island game, I guess. So, you know, yeah, we have him, but you know, there's another guy that we're not thinking about, because, you know, Yoshi's kind of the Mario World guy. And one major character from this game that I can't believe has not been in an MK yet is Kamek. I think Kamek was originally going to be in MK64, but he got cut last second and has never been in the series since, and I think he should definitely be in right now. You know, Yoshi's Island is definitely his most notable game. Anybody who's played that is going to recognize Kamek immediately. It's Bowser's wingman, I suppose, in a way. Right-hand man, does everything. So, yeah, we have, I believe, 5 spots left. 2 lightweights, 2 cruisers. I guess you could put Kamek in lightweight also, but we'll see how it goes, I guess, for now. So we'll put him there just to even it out a little bit. And also 2 cruisers, I think. Or maybe a heavy. So, yeah, we'll keep that in mind. So, you know, I guess another character to put in that is usually in most games that we haven't looked at would be Dry Bones. There he is. I think Dry Bones can be lightweight for sure. This is, I mean, I suppose we don't have a lot of people from Super Mario Bros. 3 right now, but Dry Bones is an enemy that started there. I think that's perfectly fair to put him in there for SMB3. He's been in a lot of games. He dominated MKDS actually as part of the main series. I think it'd be cool to put him in. And, you know, okay, so let's move on. For a cruiser slot, there's one other obvious newcomer choice to me, and this is probably like my favorite newcomer that I'm going to put in, actually. This is actually going to be Hammer Bro. There's a lot of reasons why I think Hammer Bro should be in. He's probably the guy I want most out of all newcomers, as I mentioned. I think he's the most notable enemy in the series. He's supposed to be the hardest enemy from the original game on the NES. I think that justifies his entry into MK alone. And, you know, though not as iconic as like a regular Goomba, this guy at least has hands, so put him in my opinion, at cruiser. I think he was actually planned to be an MKW originally, but like Kamek, he got cut at the very last second, was never put in, I guess. Alright, I'll get some hate for this, but I think we should let Wiggler return also and put him in at cruiserweight. He's been in almost every main series title in one way or another since debuting in Mario World, and I also really liked his rage in MK7 whenever he got hit. I think it was a nice, unique touch, and that people hate him for no reason. He actually kind of had personality, I think, and I think it was more about Waluigi than it was about Wiggler back then for 7. He's been in multiple games and is around forever, and definitely wasn't a Honey Queen type of character. Like he's been like in everything, even like all the spin-offs. I think he's in every single MNL game, for example. But anyway, we have one super heavy slot left, and I don't really want to put Honey Queen in again, so let's think about our other options. Because I just feel like being in one level of a game with no impact on the story should not be enough, I guess. But like if you have an impact on the story, I think like, yeah, okay, you could do it. So there's like 4 options here, and the first would be Dry Bowser from New Super Mario Bros. But you know, I kind of see him as a clone, so I'm gonna pass on him. And you know, another would actually be Boom Boom, because then you can like we're kind of missing a 3D land, 3D world rep right now. I think it was from SMB3. He touches on like a lot, like potentially a lot of your like the miss spots, I guess, like the miss games that we have. So like you could put him in. You could say to make like the weird thing is like it would feel wrong since you're excluding Pom Pom. It's like kind of girl companion, I guess. But you could say to make her an Ultifem, but I feel like it'd be strange because I guess given they're not really the same character and like they may be a different weight, so it could be weird. The other options I believe would be Madame Brood from Odyssey, because Odyssey's recency bias, I guess, and because like she's like the last 3 heavy characters I've mentioned, or like she is like the leader of like I guess a species, even though it's like a small species in the Brutals. However, like this tier list thing, don't believe Madame Brood is down there at all. So unfortunately, we can't really put her in, even if like I want to do it. I think I'd probably choose her. The last option, I guess, I'll just put in, but it would be Lubba from SMG2. Boom Boom may be better, but Lubba's kind of like his own character, I suppose. So like I'll just put him there over Boom Boom. I think this is kind of like a player's choice here. Maybe let me know who you think would be best. I think I'd go with Madame Brood personally, but yeah, that's just my pick. I think one of those characters would be it. Honestly, I don't even really like Lubba at all, but we didn't brush up on Galaxy 2. And to be fair, I felt like Rosa was like a fine rep for both games, but we'll put Lubba in for now, I guess. And this leaves us with the final slot right here. We said it was going to be a medium or a lightweight, and a decision has to be made here. You could take a few options here, I guess, but at the end of the day, you just have to think about who deserves it the most, I think. And I thought about a few things, like a regular-ass blooper, but I think that would be a little boring. You could add Spike, who was recently in the tennis game, but I feel like he's a bit of a reach also, like, Chain Chomp was also. You could even say Koopa Kid from Mario Party, but I think he's kind of dead, honestly, sorry. And I think, really, the argument comes down to Diddy Kong, and I want to say Nabbit. But I'm not sure if I'm missing another character, I suppose. Like, I feel like those two would kind of be like the argument, I guess. You could make a case for Nabbit for like recency bias and actually being a main series. But like, I personally kind of dislike Nabbit, so I think I'd maybe put in Diddy, and I think I'd also probably switch him with Kamek. So I think this is probably going to be my first like 30 characters in the roster, I guess. I feel like Diddy's a reach. He's not really in the main series, so, but like I don't really have any other place to put him. I'll just say that I liked my first 28 characters a lot and gave you all a few options for the last 2. You can kind of like say it however you want, I suppose, but I would go with Diddy and Madame Brood personally, but understand that this is where the quote perfect roster kind of comes to an end, I guess. But anyway, that's 30. But let's talk about some more stuff quickly, I guess. I never understood why we don't have like a skin changer in MK. They even had it in Crash recently, but we've had it in Smash since forever also. But like, why not this? You could get like creative too, like Toad, Shy Guy, Yoshi. Like they could easily have like multicolor options. But I think it doesn't even have to stop there. Like Hammer Bro could like be Fire Bro or Boomerang Bro. Koopa and Lakitu could have more shell colors. Dry Bones could have like some like the different stuff like the baseball games. For me personally, I think it'd be cool to have like Captain Toad. It's like an alt for like regular Toad, because like he's like had his own games and stuff, and it's like no need to even stop at basic color switches. Like why not Fire Mario, Fire Luigi? This is the way you put in some other characters too, though admittedly some weight classes could change. Like you could have like Metal Mario as like an alt for Mario perhaps. Like I don't know. I think that Dr. Mario, in my opinion, would be like a better rep than Metal Mario, because like, that would rep like a new like kind of spin-off game. You could throw in Peach and Tanuki Mario. I don't think they're on here. If you really felt like we were underrepresenting 3D Land and 3D World, Dry Bowser, I suppose, is like the and New Super Mario Bros. Rep, I guess. If you really want to make the RPG fans happy, you could like add Dark Bowser or Mr. L maybe. And, if you're really cultured, a rookie skin would be dope too for Bowser. Perhaps that's asking way too much, but I don't see why not. Now, I know I made a point that Pom Pom being a Boom Boom alt would be weird because of varying weights and stuff, but I think like Smash, the Koopling should be a junior alt, honestly. Even like if they're like way like a bunch of different weight classes, I suppose. This is where it gets like really confusing. I guess you could like put these guys there, Lemmy in there, Ludwig, Roy, who else? I think Wendy I'm missing somewhere. The best character in Smash Brothers of Wendy, I can't find her. There's Morton also. Completely lost right now. I actually lost. I can't find either. Okay, Morton's right there. Can't find Wendy. Oh, there she is. I guess you can make it like this. And you know, like, I think the Koopalings would be great because like they're way too relevant to exclude at this point in Odyssey, and that also because like the fact that we have nothing from most like new Super Mario Bros. Games outside of like the first one, and they weren't in the first one, so they could fill the hole for the other three. Especially since I personally left out like Nabbit, I guess. Honestly, screw the babies; they're too weird as alts. I think I weirdly liked them in MKDD when it was Mario and Luigi only, but it's kind of been cringe ever since MKW. The babies used to be like Yoshi's Island's reps, but like now they're just bullshit excuses to fill out roster slots. Like Baby Rosalina was actually more insulting than Pink Gold Peach. Like just why? Like the character doesn't even make sense from like a character standpoint. Like given how she's portrayed in Galaxy, like this feels like even more of a paradox than just like the normal time paradoxes that they do. Anyways, I guess this wasn't a perfect roster. I like the first 28 characters I brought up a lot, and I feel like they should all absolutely be in. Sometimes less is more, I suppose. The roster I had has less than deluxe. This breaks my mathematical roster argument in my MKW video, I guess. But you know, I think the main difference though is that like these 28 to 30 are actually all earning spots, which is still way more than the amount of good characters in MKW and Deluxe by like a decent amount. So anyway, this is just my personal opinions. I hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to strike up some stuff in the comments if you feel like I've forgotten anybody. I'm surely interested to see what your opinions are. Oh, and you know, how could I forget? You may want to, you know, like add a new tier really quickly called Super Mega S tier, and you know, of course, put Funky Kong in because he's Funky Kong.